A former Air Force engineer claims the U.S. government bent time itself on Long Island, and the story's been growing ever since. In 1983, a man named Preston Nichols walked into a radio station on Long Island. He was carrying blueprints and a story that would define conspiracy culture for decades. He claimed to have worked on a classified program called Montauk, not Area 51, not some distant Nevada facility. This was supposed to be happening right there under an old military base just miles from New York City. The question we need to ask isn't whether Montauk was real, it's what actually happened and why does the legend keep mutating. Camp Hero, that's the real name, built during World War II as a radar station to watch for German U-boats. By the Cold War, it became home to SAGE, a massive computer system designed to track Soviet aircraft. The base was decommissioned in 1981, but Nichols said it never really shut down. He claimed a secret level existed below, where scientists were experimenting with electromagnetic mind control and time manipulation. The documents he showed looked official. The technical language was precise, but here's what we need to examine. Can a convincing story stand up to actual verification? Nichols wasn't alone. He partnered with Duncan Cameron, a man who claimed he was a test subject in the program, a psychic used to project consciousness through time and space. Together they wrote a book, they gave interviews. Cameron described being transported to Philadelphia in 1943, witnessing the USS Eldridge disappear in an electromagnetic field. The Philadelphia experiment, as it came to be called, became the foundation for everything that followed. But when you pull that thread, something becomes clear. Every major claim traces back to a single source, and that source keeps changing the story. Let's talk about the Philadelphia experiment first, because it's the skeleton key to understanding Montauk. The story says in 1943, the Navy tested an invisibility device on a destroyer escort. The ship vanished. Some say it teleported to Norfolk. Others claim the crew was fused into the metal. But here's what the Navy has on record. The USS Eldridge was under construction in 1943. It wasn't even operational. The ship's logs are public. The crew lists are documented. What evidence exists for the experiment itself? None, not a single contemporary report, not a memo. Not a whistleblower account from the 1940s. The entire legend emerges in 1955 when a man named Carl Allen sent a letter to a UFO researcher. Decades later, Allen later admitted he may have been joking, but by then the story had taken on a life of its own. It became the origin myth for Montauk. And here's the dangerous part. Once a narrative has cultural weight, evidence becomes optional. People believe what fits the pattern they've already accepted. So what about Montauk specifically? The claims escalated: mind control, time travel, interdimensional portals, cloning. Each iteration added more, never subtracted. Nichols claimed the program produced 250 psychic warriors. He said they were sent back to 1943 to stabilize the Philadelphia experiment. He described a facility with chambers, electronic equipment, and test subjects. The technical specs sounded plausible. But plausibility isn't evidence. What physical proof exists? Investigators have visited Camp Hero. Researchers have filed FOIA requests. The declassified documents confirm the base existed. The SAGE system operated there, and yes, there were underground facilities standard for Cold War military installations. But nothing in the released records mentions mind control experiments, time travel, or psychic soldiers. Now, someone might argue the most sensitive documents remain classified. That's possible. But absence of evidence when you're making extraordinary claims isn't the same as evidence of absence being suppressed. Let's examine the witnesses themselves. Preston Nichols, Duncan Cameron, Al Bielek, who later joined the narrative claiming to be a time-traveling survivor. Each man's account differs in crucial ways. Each contradicts the others on dates, names, and what actually happened. When you have multiple witnesses to the same event and their stories don't align on basic facts, that's a red flag. It doesn't mean they're lying. It means memory is unreliable. Or the event itself is constructed. There's another layer here. The Montauk story emerged during the early 1980s. Right when the US government was genuinely conducting unethical experiments. MK Ultra was real. The CIA had tested LSD on unwilling subjects. The Tuskegee syphilis study had just been exposed. The public was primed to believe the government would do anything in secret. That context matters. A story about secret mind control didn't sound impossible. It sounded plausible, but plausibility is exactly what makes a good cover story. Here's what we can verify. Camp Hero existed. It housed military technology. The government did conduct classified research during the Cold War. Those facts are true. Here's what we cannot verify: that time travel experiments occurred there. That 250 psychic soldiers were created. That consciousness was transmitted through time. That the USS Eldridge vanished in 1943, not because the documents are hidden, but because no credible evidence supports them. The Montauk Project reveals something crucial about how modern mythology forms. A real location, real historical context, real government secrecy. Mix those together, add a charismatic narrator with technical language, and you've created something that feels true. It spreads, it mutates. Each retelling adds details. The original source material becomes almost irrelevant. The story takes on a life independent of evidence. What would you do if you'd stumbled onto something impossible? If you genuinely believed you'd witnessed time travel or mind control? Would you go public? Would you risk your credibility? Or would you stay silent and let the story fade? That's the question Nichols and Cameron faced, and they chose to speak. Whether that was courage or delusion depends entirely on whether their claims are true, and on that measure, the evidence simply doesn't hold. The Montauk Project was likely never a covert mind control facility. It was probably what the declassified records say, a Cold War military installation with radar and early computing systems. But the legend persists because it answers a need. It explains why the government keeps secrets. It suggests hidden technology. It makes the impossible feel just barely possible. And in an era of genuine government deception, that's a powerful drug. The real story, the one that actually happened, is less dramatic but more important. The US government did conduct unethical experiments. It did hide classified research. It did lie to the public. Those facts are documented, verified, and deeply troubling. We don't need Montauk to prove government overreach. We have MK Ultra, we have Tuskegee, we have the Pentagon Papers. The real conspiracies are damning enough. So what's the answer to our original question? Was Montauk real? The base was real, the secrecy was real, but the experiments, the time travel, the mind control, the psychic warriors, those remain entirely unverified. In an investigation, that's the distinction that matters. A location isn't evidence, a story isn't proof, and a compelling narrative, no matter how detailed, isn't the same as the truth. The Montauk legend survives because we want to believe something extraordinary is hidden, that the government knows more than it tells us, that reality operates on rules we don't understand. Those desires aren't irrational, they're human, but desire and evidence are different things, and separating them, learning to sit with uncertainty instead of filling it with speculation, that's the harder work. That's what real investigation demands. The next time you encounter a story like this, a secret facility, mysterious experiments, credible-sounding witnesses, ask 3 questions. What can be independently verified? What remains only in the accounts of interested parties? And what does the person telling the story gain by your belief? Those questions won't always give you a definitive answer, but they'll keep you honest. They'll keep you skeptical in the way that actually matters. The truth about Montauk is less sensational than the legend, but it's also more instructive. It shows how mythology forms, how real government secrets can be weaponized to obscure understanding, how our desire for answers can override our demand for evidence. And that matters more than whether time travel happened on Long Island, because those patterns repeat. They're repeating right now. And the only defense against them is the willingness to ask hard questions and accept incomplete answers. Subscribe. Every week we examine the stories that blur fact and fiction and show you how to tell the difference.